This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for product, and fowlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists, as well as our guest lecturer members Vite Ramen, King Pearlshine, and Mognite. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours featuring myself, DMO73, and I am joined as always by Reichel Mance.
Who?
Reichel Mance.
Who?
And Raul Peisman.
It's pronounced Raul, but that's fine.
Apologies.
Thanks for me, Janklin.
You're welcome. Good to see everybody. Hope you're having
Janklin.
You putting the jank in Janklin. You know it. Good to be back here for what is going to be our final week of spoilers going in for War of the Sun. Do want to just say thank you all for joining us on this adventure. If you like what we're doing, want to consider supporting the channel, you can click that join button down below. Just like King Pearlshine just rejoined. Good to have you back at the guest lecturer level, my friend. Welcome back. Glad to have you. This is get access to all kinds of cool emotes and all kinds of other cool stuff. But in general, we just really appreciate the support. Who are these Reich and Raul guys? Yeah, it's my new crew. It's my new crew.
Good old Janklin coming in.
Janklin. Yeah. Hey, man, I built some really weird stuff, so it's okay.
Nothing close to me, man. I'm the true Janklin in here.
That's fair. So we have a lot of stuff I do want to say, as we get into this, I was told earlier today that you can find the information in the description below, that Odyssey Games, while they have sold out of boxes, at least for now, after the set releases and after our locals pick up what they want, sometimes they'll put additional boxes up online, and I'll be sure to let everyone know when that comes out. But in addition, so because they've done that, they have, as of this live stream, 8 pre-release kits available at $189.99 plus $10 in shipping. You just have to email them directly at the email address that's in the description. It is first come, first serve. There are 8 of them. So if you're still looking to get a pre-release kit, you can pick that up. So there you go. Guys, we got the last week of spoilers. We got some spoilers for Red coming out later this week, but we got the last of thank you, Robert, for upgrading your membership to alumni. I appreciate that. Thank you. We have the last of Fünf, and we have the beginning of Acht. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about the Converging Wills event this past weekend that I played in, and a little bit of thoughts coming away from that about the ban list ideas. So you guys want to jump into spoilers?
Yes, as my Bluetooth device, my headphones start giving me issues.
For sure.
Where are we starting this week?
We are going to be starting with Blessing of Darkfeather.
Blessing.
That is where we left off last week. So Blessing of Darkfeather, 1 black, chant, quick cast. Choose 1, destroy target non-magic stone entity with Blessing, or 3 target entities gain Blessing until end of the game.
Straight fire.
Holy accelerator, Batman. Like, this card is, we were talking about before that Funf, once per turn, only during your turn, doesn't give you a whole lot of choice, right? Because you got to really kind of commit to stuff. Nope. Because this can also just do stones. So, has your opponent been calling stones? Just give them Blessing. Sure, why not?
Bless up.
Yeah.
This card is very cool. I'm very clearly going to have to fight Paul to build this deck first for the channel, because this deck is Black Wings. And that is Paul's favorite archetype. However, I will say that Paul got to steal Hide from me last set, so I'm just going to call seniority and be the one who gets to build food.
Yeah. Hide is more Black Wings than the Dark Feathers.
Yeah.
What universe is this? It's so weird.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Helps get False God out real quick. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, this card's really good. I mean, just in general, it's spot removal if you need it. It's accelerator if you need it. It sets up the contract really well to be able to like give your opponent stuff blessing real quick when you've been like committing your turn to give your stuff blessing, and then like still get value off of the contract, which I think is crazy. It's a good card, just in general.
Very quick note for everyone in chat: if somebody enters a GP with Funf and doesn't call the deck Bless Up, I'll be just generally upset.
You got to do it yourself, my guy.
That's facts.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
No, I'd rather people change for me. Anyway, continue.
No, we'll just call.
No.
I do like
No.
King
I don't
Proshine's
change.
thing. We're gonna try
You
to.
change.
We're gonna call the deck instead of Bless Up. We're gonna call the deck Get Yoked, Son, because it's just eggs. Eggs.
Eggy.
Eggs.
Eggnog.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next card here. We have Corrosion of Darkfeather, 1 black quick cast. J/Resonators with Blessing you control gain +6/+6, and J/Resonators your opponent controls gain -6/-6 until end of turn. We used to do this on a 2-drop when it was targeted.
I remember those times.
The Spiral of Light and Dark.
This isn't now
great.
feel old yet.
I mean, like it feels like it only did, like it's not the first time we've seen this like 1200 attack defense stat swing before, right? I do really like the fact that it is contingent on blessing. So again, it keeps the fact of like Foon isn't just going to come out the gate preventing you from ever sticking stuff to board, right?
He's got to bless.
He's
got to bless you guys.
Exactly. He's got to bless them and then murder them. Which to me is exactly where I would think like a very clearly like discard board controlled deck is not just like, oops, you're dead all the time. Like it has to put in
Jeremy,
effort.
wasn't the blessing just the friends we made along the way anyway?
There you go. There it is. Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing to be annoying with is, Rustin, we're definitely going to need to make an order for some blessing tokens. So I can just be like assign, like track it better. Yeah, it's going to be
bless
important.
up.
You should be
It's just got to be DJ Khaled just with a bless up. Just
that's my streams.
That's all the tokens.
Okay. Probably just be a small marker. I'll get, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go raid my dad's board game collection for 1 million purple meeples. And so I'll just put purple meeples on everything that has blessing on it. That'll work.
Jim, you gotta keep that to yourself. I don't know if that fan wants to hear about your
meeples.
meeples.
Meeples are a very common board game element. You shut up. Yes, my dad makes board games for a living. Stop talking about it.
Actually, I didn't
Correct.
know that.
You can't target the same thing You cannot target the same thing and give it blessing 3 times. That's
It's got to be It's got to be exactly 3 entities. It's not like Whirlwind Conflagration, which can target the same thing 6 times.
It can't.
Deal 200
No, it
damage
can't
to
do
the
that either.
face.
It can't do that.
Come on, Jeremy, stop spreading this information.
Paul, what about you? What are your thoughts on corrosion, real quick?
I went past it already.
Good work today.
I think it's fine. So this can't kill engineer, which I think is relevant, right? It's a -6/-6, not a -7/-7. I think at that point, it just ends up being a better buff for you as opposed to a neg for your opponent. And if it ends up being a good piece of removal for you, you just got more out of the card, but just play it as like a rapid growth or something.
Yeah, this is. I mean, the real text on this card is make your things 1200 bigger than your opponent's things, right?
Yeah.
That's what it really boils down to. You're not really using this as spot removal, or like a true board wipe. Yeah, because we have. There are some very meaningful 2-drops now that have hit that 7/7 threshold for stats, which it doesn't just like, because like stuff's got to survive somehow, for sure. Yes, for sure. If your opponent has a stone, you can turn 1 dump lab with corrosion. What?
I'm looking for that. Your opponent has a stone. You can
Oh, I think I see.
dump lab. Like what lab?
She's talking about the 3-drop lab. I'm just wondering how we're casting that.
The 3-drop.
Are you talking about like
3-drop
to
lab.
make lab with
Oh,
Yggdrasil or
laboratory of
Magog?
blessing. Got it.
Yeah, Magog. Eris, you'll have to kind of walk us through that in the chat. I don't really see how that's there, but I don't know how corrosion suddenly helps you do that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Next up we have some zombies. We have Alpha, money zombie of the Decayed Arena. 1 cost 4/4 Gears Human.
It's a Gears human, not a zombie. Unbelievable.
Yep. +2/+2 for each instance of blessing it has, and whenever this card gains blessing, you draw a card. This is pretty good for decks that want to try to do like lab stuff, right? Because you want to like be able to constantly stay card ahead of your opponent, so you can just like be discarding your hand but still have cards and have your opponent with no hand. So Alpha Money is probably good for like heavy lab builds. Overall, not a bad 1-drop for the blessing deck.
Yeah, it's Messenger of the Sun minus the addition stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and he
That's
just gets
that's a really
bigger.
solid
Like, he's
1-drop.
also just getting bigger, right? Like,
Yeah.
because you can give him multiple instances of blessing, right? That's not a problem. So it's just
Yeah.
like, ooh.
Damn. DJ Khaled really let himself go.
Stop. Now we have Leia Wolf, Undead Warrior. So Leia Wolf coming back here. Beast Zombie 4/4, +4/+4, and when this card is destroyed, put it from its owner's graveyard into the field under your control with 4 +1/+1 counters on it, as long as it has blessing. So just kind of like a pseudo reskin of the OG Leia Wolf. It's neat. I mean, I don't think like it's not particularly good in terms of what I think Funf is trying to do. Like, I think he has other better threats. Specifically because it says when this card is destroyed, right? If it was whenever this card is sent to the graveyard, then it would be much better for Funf, right? Because you stick it early,
yeah.
and then you stick it early, stick a lab on it, and then like put blessing on it, sack him, he comes back, your opponent has to sack something. Like, there's a lot more elements to that.
It just feels like he doesn't like mesh with what the deck probably wants to do. He's just kind of like a big dude, you know?
I can see this getting ordered potentially because like destroying a J ruler is pretty much the only thing you can do.
That's pretty neat.
But like unless you're
You're back.
running some sort of blessing engine, yeah, you do that. Unless you're running some sort of blessing engine, I don't see the point of running Leia Wolf. What's even more unfortunate is that like you can't, when this card is destroyed, text is being like printed on this card, which means you can't sack it for things like Nyarlathotep or Adam Brawley or other things like you're
Oh,
doing
that'd be so sick if you
today.
could.
This card would be like an auto include next to Dracula if you could do that, but unfortunate. I mean, it's fine. Still not a werewolf, but it's fine. It's gonna be good in draft, I think. And I mean, it's got natural bane. It has merit, but it's just an average, well-rounded card. It's certainly not like winning you the game. It's maybe
I almost
not
kind of
even
feel
being
like
included in the deck.
I almost kind of feel like I would have swapped, because I don't think Alpha's a normal, right? I almost feel like I would have
They're rare.
swapped Alpha.
They're both rares.
They're both rares? Oh, okay, cool.
They're both rares.
If Alpha was a normal and Leia Wolf was a rare, I'd flip them in terms of rarity. But like, yeah, I think Alpha has a lot more applications.
I just think Leia Wolf's just kind of, I don't know, it feels uninspired. I don't think it's a very like, it's a card that looks like it would have been printed as archetype support for a deck from like 3 years ago. That's just my thoughts.
Okay, cool. So Eris, you were talking about the thing to add blessing to stuff, not corrosion. That makes a lot more sense. I was like,
that makes a lot more sense.
This doesn't help you get Will. What's happening?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make Will.
being said, in an order deck, if this thing dies, you basically maintain card advantage and it gets bigger.
If you can give it blessing.
If you can give it blessing.
If you can give it blessing as an order deck. Yeah.
If you can give it blessing.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But he does have a mastery spell. So let's talk about this. This is Pillar of Graveflame. Has mastery. Leia Wolf does not have quick cast. Your opponent loses 600 life. If you played it with mastery by resting a card named Leia Wolf, you gain 600 life and draw X cards, where X is the number of instances of blessing the rested Leia Wolf has. So, it's the same kind of vibe as like the weirdness here is the best part of this card is the fact that the draw X cards, right? Because you want to like replace it. But that requires me to have 2 cards, whereas I could just play Alpha and just draw a card every single time I put blessing on it immediately. So Alpha's just kind of like Leia Wolf, but different, but better. If anything, I don't know. Anyone else kind of triggered by them copying and pasting the same art with different saturations?
Have you ever heard of a ruler?
I'm fine.
This one I think bothers me a little bit more than the like Eternal like being on fire than that it did, because it does feel like just the same artwork, like with, like you said, just the saturation changed. But at the end of the day, like this card is so much of a throwaway to me in terms of like competitive deck building that I'm not paying attention to the artwork on it anyway. That's my perspective.
I would actually prefer reused artwork than AI artwork for throwaway cards. I'm just gonna put that out there.
100%.
Just like resaturate it, color it in a little bit. Just like, I don't know, throw a little bit of fire on it. Throw Jeremy's face on it. That'll work. Put him on a normal.
Wow, aggressive.
I think the Leia Wolf artwork is a lot cooler in terms of like, okay, its basic structure and its forms are exactly the same, but we're gonna add some like really interesting details to make it like, oh god, he's dead now. Whereas like Pillar of Graveflame is like, oh, it's just more flames from the ground.
It's hell flames instead of regular flames.
Yeah.
One go up, other go down. Oh, flavor. Oh, it's not just reused art assets.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
It's okay. Not artwork, so I'm fine with it.
It's at least a nice card to look at. So I'm just like, it's fine.
It's just gonna suck when people are going through their collections and being like, this is definitely the card from TWS, and this is the card from this one.
Way more offensive cards in this card.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
for sure.
Some
variants.
Next up, we have Magic Stone of Death, which just taps to produce black, or if it has blessing, produces any color instead.
It's okay.
Look, it's the best
cards,
stone.
Considering the fact that the Sun Children don't give you filters, this is probably the best stone in the set.
Yeah, I guess. You're using it in Funf, and
mainly because if Funf hits this, then on turn 1 he has a 5-color stone, like because he can put blessing on it immediately and just be like, cool.
Jeremy, I'm going to be very real with you. The same can be accomplished by seeing a Moonshade, but I digress.
Correct, but I don't have to pay life for a Moonshade.
Yeah, you do. What is life without a resource?
I don't have to pay life for Magic Stone of Death. It's fine with me.
You just have to pay
and I can still play, and I can still play Sealed One-Eyed Dragons.
This man literally said, "What is life but not a resource?"
Just a man.
Is that a Castlevania reference?
Yeah.
Enough talk.
It's a cool looking stone. It's a cool looking stone. It's a cool stone.
I will say, bone art is great. The skeletons use the bones as their money in the underworld. So we'll continue on.
Yeah. Encased in bone. Very dope.
Good stone here, but bummed that it combo broke the cool expansion of new stone effects. Explain in chat, Robert Green, as we move on to next card.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Marvel. Imaginary God of the Fallen. 5 cost, 12, flying. Pay 1 black to play this card for each entity with blessing you control. On enter, your opponent discards a card, banishes a resonator, and loses 600 life. You gain 600 life. When this card is put into a graveyard from the field, target entity you control gains blessing until end of game. This is the best Marvel because it is not generic at all by comparison to the other ones. Like the other ones have had like generic application. This is a funf card. Like no one is using this card but funf. I actually might put it in the cube because like the cube has 5 drops and like this is a solid card effect for a 5 drop.
I was about to say, isn't there like a bunch of like generic demon support? Like this is a demon. Like let's be very real. We've had demon support in the past.
You're not wrong.
Let's see.
It is a demon race, right?
Demon.
Yeah. Also, like this card looks so sick. I love the flavor of having 600 damage on something satanic looking, like the 6s. Yeah. Like it's perfection.
This card is very, very good. It's certainly so. The other thing too is like this is being a 5-drop. It's legacy support in the sense of like a bunch of other decks that could cheat out stuff. Like
flip it with Xion. Let's go. Let's go. Xion.
Like flicker it with Lumia if you can. If you can cheat it in early and flicker it in with Lumia, something like that.
The Blackman card just gets us like halfway there with this thing. Anyway.
Yeah, and there is ways to like splash it, right?
That's
so you
not
can
bad.
like get 3 blessings of blessings. So like it is usable outside of it, right? For sure.
Yeah.
This is not a bad
it's
card.
Just like the other Marvels have felt very like they don't need another card to make them splashable into the other stuff. He feels like he requires more setup.
Unless you find a way to cheat him.
But the payoff of setting him up is good for any deck, right? Force a banish, force a discard, gain life, lose life. Like that's just a good solid.
So here's something else with him. If you get 5 entities with blessing, I'm pretty sure there's
True Power. Yeah, part of True Power. That's a really good like pitch it with Rhea, part of True Power.
Yeah.
Reanimate this. Like it's a better reanimate target for that.
If you're able to get to like getting this thing down to no will to be able to play it, there's probably going to be some sort of loop where you'll be able to just constantly flickering back in and just dome your opponent for all of their life with that enter ability.
Sure.
And I feel like somebody's going to try that, and that's going to be fun.
Yeah, flicker decks are a thing for sure.
Rizard,
Black Lumia,
Rizard Doctor
Black
too.
Lumia, making this. Yep, Ladder Rock. Yeah, it's a cool card. Yeah, any kind of sack outlet. If you have like 5 things with blessing and you've got Rizard, you can just kind of like new selective decapitation loop stuff.
Yeah,
for sure. It is loses life too.
Yeah, and it is loss of life, not damage. Yeah, that's the other big
Gets
thing.
around tree. They keep printing ways to get around tree instead of banning tree. That's fine.
I think this card is a 7 or an 8 out of 10 in my book.
For sure. I'd put him there.
It feels very solid without feeling overpowered. And this plus Dark Feather Blessing is just like, here's your engine.
Yeah, certainly splashable in like any kind of deck, right? That you can just
you can use the Magic Stone of Death as like a target for the Dark Feather Blessing, and then you just are able to have Omni Stone at that point. It's a good engine.
Magic Pot.
Like
Are we expecting a black-green Funf? Probably. I mean, you could probably play a Funf deck with like reanimating this, especially because like reanimating this then suddenly also still accelerates your blessing, right? Because when it gets killed, you get something else with blessing on it. Like part of True Power could definitely very much come back for a Funf deck, especially since he's also discarding stuff a lot. So like you could also see like this guy get discarded early, reanimated. Like very
black green is also just the best color combination in the game, so you might as well try it.
It's not, but okay.
Do you just play this in Asuka?
I don't think so. 5 is a lot, and Asuka really thrives on like reanimating like a bunch of 1-drops. Like that's where a lot of her strength comes from. Or
maybe Athenia.
Or 3 drops like Drywing or Athenia to like get the will back and be able to contract loop, which we'll talk about in a little bit later.
Oh, Duet of Light with it too. Neat.
Duet of Light.
Oh, and
plus Duet of Light. Duet of Light wouldn't be able to reanimate this.
Oh wait, no. What about the what's the Yggdrasil's Grace is the one that flickers?
And at the end of the next turn it comes back.
That's pretty neat with that. I can see Abzan
mentioning Athenia. Order Athenia, because you're just milling everything.
This is just like the it stands to the same kind of idea. It feels very similar to like Starfall. Like Starfall didn't require other cards to slot it into other decks, but like this has that same kind of vibe to me, where it's like it's probably going to be strongest in Funf, but it's still going to be good in other decks that aren't Funf that can make use of it, right?
See, I'm going to be very real.
Which is what I want a Marvel Rare to be.
I'm going to be so real with you right now. This kind of Marvel Rare, this kind of like way to get something really, really cheap, but has an effect that isn't just like backbreaking or doesn't go off at all. Like this is the kind of like monster I've been like looking for in Foul.
Yeah,
it feels. I mean, it just looks like it feels good.
Design. This set has been solid. Like I really like it.
Yeah,
it's been great.
I
said it before. Go ahead.
Magic Pod is asking, if you sack this thing for cost on part of True Power, can you then reanimate it if you have another target in grave?
You'd have to have a second one of this when in grave already.
Because you need to be able to target. Because you need to be able to target before
paying cost. Yeah. You target before paying cost. Yep. Good question though, Magic Pot. Great question. Somebody anybody got a spare elixir that we can throw into Magic Pot? Anybody? Let's throw an elixir into the Magic Pot.
Yeah, I got you. Here you go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's a Final Fantasy reference.
Before it runs away, we got to try to throw an elixir into.
Let's just keep making references to video games.
Hey, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Man, I sure can't wait to collect all these Marvel Rares. Got to catch them all.
Devil May Cry.
Wait, it's very decent to very good in the deck it was intended to be played in, and is mid to unplayable in anything else.
That's probably true. Anyway.
Wow, Kick Pearlshine, what a hot take. Anyway, maybe competitively, but like, it's not gonna stop me from
putting it in cube
with it. Yeah, and putting it in cube.
This is Mephistopheles now.
Big boy.
I'll probably keep both of them in the cube. I like Meph.
Hey,
we put in an elixir. We put in an elixir, and we got it to join as a member.
Just dash of this into that.
Nice. Thanks, Magic Pot. Welcome. That's what we're talking about. So first up, we have Ethereal King and the Dragon of Death. This is 1 blue, 1 black. Quick cast with Remnant. Put target Ethereal Resonator from your graveyard into the field. It gains at the next end of turn. Its controller banishes it. Finally, a card to let Reinhardt play during our opponent's turn.
Crazy how we had to wait a whole set for it. Anyway,
like I mean, like, but I'd almost kind of say like, wow, we only had to wait one set, right? Like it's pretty quick for him to get a support card because of how good this support card is for him. I mean, it is the end.
Isn't this the last?
Right? If this was, I would say, sorry, let me say this: if it was a 4-set cluster and we got a card for him immediately, we would all be flipping the frick out that we got a card so fast, right? So, taking into that context, just how good this support card is for him. If this is the only card that Reinhardt gets in this whole set, this is a very good card for Reinhardt. Like his biggest weakness is that his main progression of his game plan happens during his turn. This helps us get around that in a very big way. This is a very good card for him.
Quick cast and Remnant, which is like, cool, you canceled it. I can still do it next time. Yeah, so that's really helpful. I know when I was looking at Reinhardt and building around Reinhardt, one of the biggest concerns I had was how do I bring the princess back into the field if it dies? Or how do I get it back into the field if I'm moving it from possession area to graveyard? This solves that problem for me.
And it turns into a discard for your opponent and then gets it back into your, ethereal zone as well.
Yeah.
This is also really nice because this is also really nice for Dexia to be able to take advantage of his own leave the game trigger if your graveyard is full or your zone is full.
Possession area.
Because he doesn't successfully expand until he's left the field, right? So if you've already filled up your zones and Dexia gets sacked, he'll expand it, but then he's sacked and he's in the graveyard, right? So this is a really nice way to be able to also then get more value off of it, reanimate the Dexia. He'll cheat something in, choose to not have that thing that you just cheated and go to the EX area. Dexia then banishes, goes to the EX area, and gets another slot for it. Like, there's a lot of like lines that this card opens up for Reinhardt in a very cool way. Keep the faith, baby. Yeah, for sure. I do want to say that it's very interesting to me that this is the only like old ruler support card they've spoiled so far. It makes me wonder what other like set 1, set 2 ruler support there is, and whether they will be good. But it's cool. It's cool to see. That Manning is fighting a whole mech with just a sword. Yep.
Listen, man, if I've learned anything from anime, one sword is all you need to take on an entire army of giant robots, plus literally like the king of space himself.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's all I remember from Gurren Lagann.
Yeah. Yep.
It feels
That's
like
true.
Sephiroth v Bahamut.
Cool. Don't get me copyright stricken, please. So let's talk about the.
They're not going to copyright strike my voice. My voice is very good, but still.
This is Chivalry's Oct, 1,000 Blades. J/Resonators you control that dealt damage to your opponent this turn gain war until the end of turn. So she gives things war. As we expected, she's war. As we expected, it was some kind of keyword related to that. And it is that she gives it to them when they've successfully hit stuff. So she very much feels like probably a cascading aggressor kind of deck, where like if you're hitting, you're going to keep hitting. And that's kind of the whole point of her.
War. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing, because it's not a red card.
And then we have Child of War, which has the God's Art of Declaration of War. Each J/Resonator you control deals 200 damage to your opponent. And then when you're playing Chivalry's Oct, they will all then gain war. So, like, again, cascading damage. Allow me to start sideboarding Witch of Quenched Fires in my sideboard always.
Again. Pony for game.
It's back. Yes, this is the war horse. We banned war horse. Now we have the war horse.
And before also banned.
It's not painted red. It's dyed by the blood of its enemies.
Yes, for sure.
War pony. Let's go.
War pony. I love the fact that it was a horse. It just got me so. I was like, "Are you serious?"
The only thing I'm missing is like an angry face on its butt.
Wait, yeah, like we could just draw angry eyebrows on it, like Leaf Healer turned into. No, Leaves of Yggdrasil turned into Malefic Leaves of Yggdrasil.
My little warning.
This is Age of War, 1-tossed red edition that just naturally has the idea of war, and on enter it draws a card. It's a cantrip edition.
I'm really glad the edition is an age and not a place. You know, I just love that. Like, what does this card do? War. What does that do? It's war, dude. I don't know. War as hell, man. I don't know what to tell you.
They fighting.
Yeah,
they go. Oh yeah.
Next up, we have the contract, which is summon the Charger of War. Target J/Resonator you control deals damage equal to its attack to target player or J/Resonator. If you control 3 or more magic stones, you may contract this card with Chivalry's Oct, 1,000 Blades. And for those of you who were taking bets in the chat over the past week, we were correct in that it is Ifrit Glass Chrono Gear for red. Ifrit Glass, not caduceus. She is an 8/8 with swiftness and flying. J/Resonators you control that dealt damage to your opponent this turn gain war until end of turn. J/Resonators you control gain +4/+4 as long as this card has war. And enter recover all J/Resonators with war you control. So again, turn things sideways again.
Haha, war go brrr.
It is. Someone call Kyron so that Kyron can start turning things sideways.
No, someone call Kyron when Violet gets out of jail, because that's the only way he's going to play again.
I mean, hey, yeah. Well, he'll have to play for Worlds. He's got his invite, I think.
So. That's true.
I'm very, very, very intrigued by the splashability of Summon. As like just a generic burn card.
Really cool Unga Bunga.
I'm really glad it targets so that I can have wall or things like again, Witch of Quenched Fires, things like Winds of Asgard, like stuff to be able to give the player barrier.
Certainly balanced around the fact that it targets.
Yeah, for sure.
If it didn't target, oh my god. Whoa.
Yeah. Yep. Vampire 999. Yep. It's the 4 horsemen. Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, because Dry is definitely famine, Oct is war, Funth is bless up, and Veer is song. Got
This
him.
child thing and 2 face J rulers are the only. So this
Conquer.
child thing and the 2 faces J ruler cards are only for this block. Am I right? As far as we know, yes. The contracting seems to be the hero cluster gimmick. So unless the next cluster is essentially a direct continuation of hero cluster, and therefore it uses contracts again, contracting is just these 3 sets.
And before we go back to Ataraxia, anyway.
Reset the timeline again. We time
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Kage doing her shenanigans yet again. The pre-walk.
Barrier doesn't save me from me swinging face. That's true, but
That's
it would
facts.
stop you. But it might be a really good way to stop me from
barrier these hands. Let's go.
No, it might be a really good way to stop me from taking damage from things before they can successfully swing. I imagine the vibe that I'm getting from this deck is very much that like stuff's gonna try to hit you when it enters in some way, or I'm gonna like try to use other ways to get my things to hit you, and then they're gonna be able to swing, right? Because I don't know, that's just the vibe that I get from it. And so ways to give yourself barrier or stop yourself from being the target or stop that damage is probably going to be really, really good against her. Just like to make it so that it's hard to get war onto stuff. That's going to be how you slow her down.
Yeah.
In before just like a bunch of people sideboarding also like fight lightning cave. Like no swiftness. Not allowed.
No. Bad. Stop.
Barrier these hands.
I said that, Jeremy. You missed my funny statement.
I'm sorry.
I don't even come on here. I just talk shit and don't play this game.
You're fine. Okay. Next up, we have what very clearly, other than the turn thing sideways, seems to be the backup win condition, which is Charge of Infinite Blades. 1 cost, quick cast, red. This card deals 400 damage multiplied by X to target player or J/Resonator, where X is the number of entities with war you control.
Fun story. If you ask anybody in the idiots chat that I'm in, Iris can confirm this as well. I predicted this card almost verbatim, last week when these spoilers started. Last week? When did this red spoiler start?
A few days ago.
So I predicted this about a few days ago, I'd say.
Yeah.
But my version was deals 500 damage and then an additional 500 damage times the number of instances of war. Yeah, it's a card. It's also a JoJo reference. It's got blades going or. So we got another anime reference today, Paul. You're welcome. I got you covered.
Yeah.
And then JoJo is actually a reference to Fist of the North Star, which means it's actually a double effective anime reference. It's not a double entendre. I wish.
Okay, moving on from that card, we have Hymn of Triumph. 1 cost, 1 red, quick cast, produce 1 red for each entity with war you control. Anyone else really catching the theme of we're very clearly trying to cascade aggression in this deck?
What? Oh my god, do we get war payoffs in the War of J-Ruler? That's amazing. Oh my god. Wow. That's crazy.
But how do I not get board wiped?
We're
in red. We don't have protection.
Just play red white. Just play red white. Play was it the Awakening of Zero that just gives everything
awake eternal?
Yeah, and then you lose the game because you're playing red white. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Hey man, a red white deck.
Don't give me hope,
this past
Jeremy.
weekend. A red white deck top 8 this past weekend.
Give me
Actually,
hope.
top 4'd.
Don't do this to me. Also, why is a hymn in war
No,
when it
top
clearly
8,
should be in melody? A hymn is a melody. A hymn is not.
Can you hear the people singing the songs of angry men?
It is
the music of the people
who will not be slaves again. I get it.
Exactly. It's very much this
My
vibe.
God, we're going from anime reference to Broadway reference, Jeremy. Keep us on track.
Okay, next up we have Chivalry's is Hatred. 1 red quick cast J/Resonators you control, gain plus X100 attack until end of turn, where X is the number of entities with war you control multiplied by 2. This card should see absolutely 0 play, even in her deck, because if she's swarming you down, the attack stat does not matter. Like, you're probably going to die. This card is actually normal to fill out the space.
I'm going to say this card is eating up space that the other card that dealt damage based on war is, which is eating up space of the J ruler side. There's literally so much overlap. This is okay, but I'm going to make a prediction here. I'm going to make a very bold prediction for the next GP. Are you ready, Jeremy?
Well, hold on. Let's see. Hold on.
Okay.
Everybody, take a moment. Welcome to Mike's crazy off the wall take corner. Mike, you have the floor.
Thank you all for joining me today. It's very nice to be here. I would like to dedicate this to my mom, my dad, both of whom which I would not be here.
It's true. I call them every week to make sure that they tell Mike to make sure to be ready.
But okay, so we know that in every USGP, there's going to be a large chunk of the metagame that's playing the worst aggro deck in the meta. Back in Ray Cluster, it was Keurig. I forget who it was recently. I think there's a lot of people on Violet. There's a lot of people on Violet, but like bad versions of Violet. So there's over there. I predict that I'm not even going to pronounce it.
Chivalrous
8 is going This is German word for 8, whatever, it's fine. But right here, this little circle here are the 47 Oct players that are going to be at this next 112-man GP, who are all playing not only 4 of Chivalry's Hatred, but also 4 of the Dance of Infinite Blades and 4 of the Contract, and they're going to brick every single game for the rest of the time. They're not going to stop playing the deck, and they're just going to break every single day for the rest of their lives. That's the sphere. 47. I'm calling it right now.
47. That's hot. It's a hot call.
47 out of 112. I'm going to say 112 for the next online GP.
You did mention the GP. This is actually a weird moment to bring it up. I just want to go verify for a second real quick, because I believe the pricing for the online GP next month has actually been updated. So this is actually kind of relevant. Her name
Look at me. Look at me go. I'm keeping us on track. In your face, Rustin. Come on.
So, actually, the information, come on, load page. It's really working hard. First off, entry promos, now you get the, Fallen Angel of Fiery Vengeance plus March League PR cards. But now the Ubers, the top cut Ubers, have actually been extended to top 48 instead of top 32. So more people get to walk away with those Ubers. So, and registration is available. Oh yeah, and the top 3 players get to walk away with a super sick Force of Will art book, which is awesome. So, definitely go get signed up for that. You can go get signed up on fowtcg.com. There is or also the Facebook page for Games and Geek has it as well. So you can go get signed up for that online GP.
Kind of love Geeks and Geek.
It's gonna be great. So I just wanted to, you talking about the next GP was like, oh wait, that's kind of relevant.
See, look at that. Look, Jeremy, do you see how professional I am at this? Do you see how good I am at this? The segues are so smooth.
Why do you think I keep you on?
That's facts. I didn't even play this game, but I'm so good at this.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, we have 2 more cards, neither of which are for Chivalries. So what are your thoughts about Chivalries so far?
Very linear, but I think will be fun. Regardless of Mike's ridiculousness, pairing this with white makes a lot of sense. Since in the color pie identity, like going wide with white, there's a lot of support for that kind of mechanic.
Yeah.
So I can see heat rays. I can see things that help you protect not only yourself. I don't really hate hatred as like an ender kind of card. Like 2 at most, or it's like 2 or 0 in my opinion. You either run it or you don't.
True. I think that's true. I think the thing that keeps me away from that is because of the fact that you can just play Child of Famine to support her as well, and that just like puts 2+1/+1 counters on everything. So I can like proactively just make everything bigger, as opposed to like, oh, I've hit you a couple of times, now I'm gonna make stuff better. That being said, I could see that argument going away if maybe like her stone's gimmick is that it has war, right? So like if she has ways to just like naturally have war, then that aren't the addition, then this card becomes at least a little bit better and more of a consideration of like a 2 of as opposed to a 0.
Yeah, I agree. I am the 47 Ronin.
My own hot take that Mike said was an ice cold take. I think 4 is going to be more playable than Oct because 4 can cheese a win on the back of a silence. Probably not wrong.
Yes. Red deck
People
bad.
just like to
Blue deck.
people like to play red. People like to play
Americans
red.
love
American
to play
players
red.
like to play red.
Europeans will play every color other than red, but they get an aggro deck.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure.
And
very true.
And players in Asia don't exist. But anyway, continuing on.
But hey, Singapore players.
Singapore
did
players
really well in the in Converging Wills event.
You're right. How dare I? Please prove me wrong.
The top 8 slots.
I would love to be proven wrong about everything.
Yeah. Okay. So next up, we have a card that we've seen before, but we haven't seen the artwork for. This is Replicant Scarlet. Cool. You've seen the artwork. Great. Moving on.
Feet.
We're going to talk about Scarlet's Explosion. So this is a 2 red quick cast chant. This card deals 800 damage to target player or J/Resonator. Your opponent cannot gain life until end of turn. Mastery, Replicant Scarlet. This card existing suddenly makes playing Scarlet for Olga make sense. Because it gives Olga ways to do spot removal.
An actual win condition.
He has a win condition. It's called getting Genesis to flip. But like this means that Olga can save his like actual mana resources for other cards and still be serving spot removal sources by getting something like Scarlet out.
Guys, we got another anime reference with this card. It goes Konosuba with Regmin's Explosion. We got the explosion here. We did it. We filled out all of our anime references.
I mean, we've already had that. We've already had Explosion before, right? With like the big Mars spell that was just Explosion.
I'm pretty sure literally one of the red runes was actually just called Explosion. I'm pretty sure I said it exactly in the GP, just yelling Explosion, and nobody found it funny because we were in an international event. But anyway, that's
Alejandro, exactly. Anything but red is okay.
Good. I appreciate you, Alejandro.
Yeah. So no, I think this Scarlet's Explosion existing makes me consider Scarlet in a much better light for Olga, right? Because Scarlet by herself was just kind of like, I guess it's a 1-drop for me to cheat off of a Scheherazade early, I guess. But now if I have a couple of these in the deck, or I'm playing like 3, the idea of like playing 2 or 3 Scarlets in the sideboard and then like 2 or 3 of this in the main board suddenly becomes a little bit more manageable in my ideas, right? Because like if I really need to, I can play Scheherazade, I can then get a Scarlet, I can then immediately go into the Scarlet's Explosion from my hand when I need it, without having to also play Scarlet in the main board. Like that feels like a plausible like deck idea for Olga specifically. So there you go. That's my idea.
Literally, you're talking about a burn card. I zoned out and was just looking at the chat. It's fine.
No, that's fair. You and I listen. Let's look at all the times that Jeremy has played a burn deck on the channel and has missed lethal. Oh, what's that? Every single time Jeremy plays a burn deck on the channel? Correct.
What? This isn't Darkness. I can't play this. What are you talking about?
Is it Fox?
There's literally a card in red that's a 7/7 swiftness if your opponent's playing Darkness.
Yeah. What do you mean I have to try to do math without having bodies on board to do math with? I can't do that.
What do you mean? What do you mean fast damage? I've never heard of that in my life.
Nope. What is turn 2 lethal?
What is a turn? What's turn 2? I passed.
Yeah, I've already nope.
Oh, actually, sorry. My turn 2 was looking at your hand, discarding 2 cards out of it. That's pretty nice.
Jeremy with red is how you are with green. Yeah, that's
just fair. Cancel the good card. But every card's good. That's fine.
With red, I can't play red decks. I just can't.
Red deck.
I leave it to Tyler. I leave it to Tyler Tompkins and Paul Clute from our locals. They're just like they come in the first week and they're like, "Hey, I got this first draft of the red rule," and I'm like, "Let's record it because I'm not building it."
Hey, Jeremy, do me a quick favor. When you build, Sword Mommy for the channel, just can you call the
I'm not going to. I'm just going to record whatever Paul Clute or Tyler Tompkins.
Can you call the deck red deck loses? Because I feel like that'd be hilarious.
If it loses, sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. Paul, what's your thoughts on Scarlet's Explosion?
I gotta reread the card. I think
Ever heard of Blood Boil?
only-
This isn't now feel old yet.
I think Blood Boil is a better card.
Whoa! That's a hot
Has more
take.
modes. Has more modes.
It's
All right,
it's just
all right.
better.
Go off,
It's just
go off,
better.
sis.
If I'm not playing Blood Boil, why would I play this card? I think it's only good at Olga, like Jeremy said. I don't really see myself saying like, oh, I'm gonna play the Scarlet package because this thing is like, whoa, just so it's only good
I
at
want to play
Olga.
Scarlet just for the feet. Anyway, that's not what anyone should say. We're getting to the unhinged part of the night.
Burn is out of control, and every Burn player needs to really look deep in their souls and come to reality.
Toby, you can't be upset because Burn players are outpacing your tier 0 decks. Come on.
It's like, I don't mind Burn decks existing in the format because we have good answers to Burn, like life gain, or so like there are ways to
literally playing
Almerius.
Almerius.
Oh, like there are ways to mess with it. It's fine. I'm just not good at playing them. Like I'm just not good at it. I suck at it. Some players know how to play the red deck. Some players know how to play hard control. Yeah, I'm a hard control kind of guy. Mid range to hard control, I'm in there. Aggro to burn face. What? I don't know. Lethals, I can't find them. I'm bad at it. Only reason to play Scarlet is for that art for sure. Okay. So I do want to talk about a few things with the few minutes we have left. I played in the Converging Wills. No? Okay.
No,
good night, guys.
no.
Paul says good night. Night. Bye.
Down with the art.
Kidding. Anyway, so I played in the Converging Wills this weekend. We had just over 50 players. I think it was 53 signed up. Paul's working on a tournament report on it. I played blue, black, white Dexia control, Aristella Dexia control. Just to quickly go through my rounds to kind of, because I think this illustrates the point of what I want to talk about about this meta. This was an event that was by no means an easy playing field. It had very good players from all over the world. It was really fun. The ruler breakdown is very intense. There's a lot of different stuff. My rounds were Order Alice, which I lost. And then I played against Stone Hate Aristella and won. And then I played against Ainz and won in the last turn of turns in game 3. That was a real tough match. And then I played against Vega. No, sorry. Then I played against Killua and won. Then I played against Vega and won with Rustin. I played against Rustin. Rustin, those were great games. I'm sorry that Arthur gave you such a hard time in game 1. And then I played against Isis, Burn, Aristella in round 6 and lost. And I ended up top 8ing. I took 8th seed, and then I had to concede. But the top 8 was 2 Asuka lists, Aristella, Isis, Burn, my Dexia control list, Ainz, Typhon, and Alice Order. So we had Order decks, single ruler decks, and tricolor decks, aggressive, combo, control, mid-range, all represented in this top 8 of very, very good players. So the takeaways for me is that this current environment that we're playing in right now for the next 2 weeks is honestly very, very healthy. There are a lot of different options. There was a lot of meta calls involved. The people who were playing Ainz this weekend had a really smart meta call to play Ainz. It was really good for the meta of like what people brought to the table. So like meta calls are still very heavy. The format is very wide and diverse. A lot of things can be very successful, which I think is really cool to see. So that was really awesome to see. And now having seen most of this set, I don't see much of a change in that, in terms of that suddenly something is going to break it and take us back to a tier 0 format, right? It feels like the stuff that's coming out is going to just introduce new cool stuff without suddenly eclipsing everything or suddenly throwing the balance of the meta out of whack, which is cool. But that being said, let me see what else. Arthur came out of left field. Yeah. Arguably, Jeremy played jank and made top 8. Excuse me. I played good tech cards, and I played well.
He didn't play a single red card.
That's not technically true. Death Metal has red in it.
Oh, it's not a red card. It's not a red card. Let's be real.
Okay. But that's Jeremy playing. Anyway, so I do want to talk about this. Coming out of that weekend, I had, and so this will be a bigger conversation for next week, I think, when we talk about pre-release environments and stuff, but also talking about what we kind of would like to see out of the ban list. Not talking about stuff that I want to see come off the ban list. That's a whole other conversation because I think there's a lot. But to kind of tie this up, the format as is with the stuff that's coming out, we're like so close to perfect. And I think that if nothing really changes on the ban list, I won't be disappointed. But I do kind of want to hear some generic thoughts about the following ideas. So from my co-hosts, I would like to hear your ideas about what I'm about to share, and then from the chat. So I had this conversation with Alejandro, so Alejandro knows what I'm going to say. But here's the ideas. That going into the next format, these are the following changes I would make. First off, I would do a CR update to contracting so that anyone may only contract once per turn. Because now that we have seen a whole cluster of contracts, it is very, very clear that I do not think Asuka was intended to be able to contract more than once in a turn, but the reason it wasn't stipulated as a rule is that none of the other rulers have the ability to, by themselves, contract more than once per turn. So I would see an update to the CR to make contracting once per turn, just like Judgment or Ordering. I would bring that up. And then I would do the following things. I would combo ban Black Witch with Pumpkin Witch and make you pick. I'm not going to ban either of them. I think Pumpkin Witch is a fine card. I think you can still play it. I just want to make you have to play it in your main deck as opposed to just cheat it out from your sideboard. And then I think there might be something to be said about, even though I used it, there might be something to be said about Death Metal with the H1 rulers, the set 1 rulers. Because there were environments that I was playing in, and from what I heard from other people, where the opponent slammed a turn 1 Death Metal, and then something that stopped them from losing the game, that they just sat on it all game. And then the opponent just couldn't win. And those kinds of things, for me, are things that I think I would want to see curved. If they are not, I don't think it's a detriment, but I think it would be beneficial if they were. Does that make sense? Like, it's not bad if they stick around, but I think there is improvement to be made by getting rid of them. Does that make sense? So those are my thoughts. And people are saying, oh, Layla. I don't think anything needs to happen to Layla, personally.
Yeah. How I feel about the Black Witch, Pumpkin Witch thing is the Lila idea. It's good, but you really only get access to Pumpkin Witch in a majority of decks that are not using Deck 2's advice. You only get to Black Witch on turn 5 when you have 5 stones, right?
The problem is though it's very easy to cheat to 5 stones, and if you're already at 5 stones, I would just make you pay 3 for the Pumpkin Witch. You'd still have will to be able to protect it, right? As opposed to I play 1 for Black Witch and have 4 will to be able to protect this line, as opposed to a 3 will investment that I then protect for 2. That's my argument there, of I'm not making you not be able to play Pumpkin Witch. I just wanted you to actually have to pay for her.
So what makes it different now compared to how it's been for the last couple of years? Is it because of things like Lila and Asuka? Or is it for other things?
I think a little bit, yeah. I think in general, the Black Witch into Pumpkin Witch train has been something that I've always had on the back burner of this feels a little weird, to just be so easy to do. I think the thing that wants me to do it now is that because we've introduced ramping strategies that are viable, then it suddenly feels more hittable. Does that make sense?
So
Because the idea
is the problem Black Witch, or is the problem things like Lila and Asuka,
I think the
who are
problem
like
is
helping you ramp?
I think the problem is that the ramping, because here's the argument, right? If we combo ban Black Witch and Pumpkin Witch,
Okay.
then I let you keep the ramp package. You can, but to get to 5 stones, then you can play the Pumpkin Witch for 3 with a little bit of protection, right? And so I don't mind that you had ramp, and I don't mind that you're playing Pumpkin Witch, because you have a little bit of protection. I think the problem for me is that Black Witch is a Pumpkin Witch for 1 when we're at 5 stones. So
Sure.
now we're getting to 5 stones quickly, and I'm playing 1 for a Black Witch with 4 will worth of interruption.
So you're able to just aggro. Got it.
Really, really stick it with
So
this
then-
like little with so little risk that it doesn't matter. Where it's like, oh, you stopped my Black Witch, cool. I have 4 will left to keep going. As opposed to like make the win con. If you have this ramp stuff to work with, make the win con cost more. Is my thought.
So why then not just ban like pumpkin like Eris is saying Pumpkin Witch with the contract, or even just Black Witch in the contract, or Black Witch and Asuka? Why not just do that? Because like at that point you're hurting every other deck who is
Sure.
searching for a win con.
Sure,
And
but I also would
problem is
encourage you to
Asuka
find
and
other win
Lila.
cons. That's fair. I mean,
There's-
like I said,
There's
I'm
plenty
not
out
necessarily.
there too. I'm just saying it like
Yeah.
it also hurts any other deck that wants to do that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I just like, why take that out of players' hands when the
Sure.
issue is Asuka and Lila?
See, I don't even. Yeah, I don't know.
And Dexy's
It
advice,
just-
maybe.
Like, I don't even like the amount. I think I resolved Dexia's Vice into Pumpkin Witch 1 time over the course of the event.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's
one time.
technically there, but it's like not even. See,
Yeah.
like even there, it's like, eh. If the problem is ramping, I think you ban Witch with the ramp.
So here's the thing, Toby. The same idea you're playing Dexia's Advice, grabbing that Dark Allison and Black Witch is pretty busted. If I'm like, and this is what I'm saying before, is the idea of I don't feel like Pumpkin Witch plus Dex, like, I don't feel like there are many situations where I could comfortably just tap out, play Dexia's Advice super early, unprotected, and successfully get paid off of going into a Black Witch Pumpkin Witch train, right? Dexia's Advice in the same vein, and so maybe that is an argument to be made of what you guys are saying about maybe take the Black Witch Pumpkin Witch train towards the things that can cheat the stones faster. Maybe that's where we need to interact, because you know, for me to comfortably resolve a Dexia's Advice, I would usually get to like 5 stones, right? So then in the sense I'm doing the same kind of thing that I'm saying feels okay to do with Black Witch, right? Where I have a little bit of protection for it, and I feel like this is an okay way to win the game. So maybe that's a good argument to be made there. Like I said, I don't think anything. If nothing changes, let me say that. If the CR gets changed to contract once per turn, and nothing changes on the ban list, I would be okay. Oh, the other card that I didn't mention is Sprinting Steward. I think it's time for that card to go.
I was about to say, if Sprinting Steward doesn't get banned by the time that Worlds rolls around, I'm playing Olivia. 100%. I love 2-card FTK. I love that deck. It's so good.
So tell me, I'm curious as to why Sprinting. Like, I'm personally fine with Sprinting Steward now because Memory of Worlds exists.
Sure.
And like it as a card,
because
or does
people
it, like, centralize
people have
things?
pivoted away from trying to resolve Sprinting Steward to the point where it's really being used one of 2 ways, which is I'm going to pay 0 life to just give my board swiftness, or I'm trying to pay my life as low as possible, and I don't care if you cancel it. Like, they've just pivoted, and
Right.
like my game against Rustin, legitimately the only reason why I won the game 1 against Rustin is he paid us both down to 4 life. He paid himself down to 4 life, but I had an Arthur on field. So like even if he tried to commit stuff to board, he would just have to attack the Arthur. But then when he paid life down that low, he couldn't also pay for sealed One-Eyed Dragon. And so because I had the Arthur, I could crack his wall, and then I had this weird line where I was going to be able to... I cracked his wall, I gained 2,000 life with Duet of Life, and sealed One-Eyed Dragoned him. But had I not had that exact line, and on turn 1 played an Arthur, or gotten the Arthur out to be able to crack the wall and do that to him, even canceling the Sprinting Steward, that meant nothing because he didn't care about the swiftness. He cared about paying his life down super low for 0 will. And so I think because of the avenues that Sprinting Steward opens as a pay 0, just give your board swiftness, and pay your life super low for those kinds of cheese strats, I think it has lived its time in the meta of 6 months, and I think it's time to get that out. Personally, I think it's just time to get it going.
I would say I am more comfortable with that just straight ban than I am like the witch combo ban.
Sure, that's fair. I think for me, like the things that I think
would that's enabling
absolutely
what you're worried about.
I think the things that I would absolutely choose to do is CR change, Sprinting Steward, right? Like I would heavily push for those. I think that there are discussion points to be had about this, something to do with Pumpkin Witch, something to do with Layla, something to do with Death Metal, maybe, right? Those are my kind of pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you know what you won going second in 1 turn. Yeah, because of Sprinting Steward just paying your life down. Yep. Because, like, imagine that Rustin's playing against a ruler that's not playing wall.
Hold on. What is context? What is Rustin playing? Because I think that's where things are going to... Was he playing Vega or something like that?
He's playing Vega. Yeah.
He was playing Vega.
Yeah, so Vega decks now are primarily using it to pay their life down low.
Yeah.
Other rulers are just using it as a pay 1 red, give my board swiftness for the turn.
Right. Yeah, that makes much more sense. Did not think
Gods
Vega
Art
was
Light Moon,
viable.
Sprinting Steward down to 3,200, Sealed One-Eyed, Hold Up, Priority with Inferno. Yeah.
Yep. Combo.
Yep, and then you have like Curse of Caduceus to just axe him out. Yeah, it's just like, but even on top of all this conversation, right? The meta itself is still fantastic, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's still really interactive, lots of different choices, lots of different game plans. Meta calls are super important. Tech calls are really important. It's just kind of like, it's one of those pieces where it's good, but it can always be better, right? And so here are my thoughts about how we could make it better.
Yeah.
And
I think
Mike
it says something
is-
that we have to like struggle to figure out what the ban list needs to do. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of a good problem to have,
Yeah.
right? Because it feels like it's pretty damn close to perfect, right?
Mhm.
Which is great. Good stuff.
Yeah.
This week,
Absolutely.
to kind of close this out, this week is going to be a little bit different. We've got some deck profiles to get caught up on. There is not going to be a feature match this week because I am just burnt out from this past weekend playing in this event. I just did not have time to do any editing because I was play testing and I just did not have time. So we will not have a feature match this week. We're going to get caught up on deck profiles. But I will say on Friday, we will be doing a premiere of a pre-release kit opening on Friday. So be sure to tune in for that. So looking forward to that. And then next week, Wednesday, we should be doing a live stream of our pre-release event. For those of you who are watching who are doing a pre-release and are not sure exactly what you want to do for it because the Moon Children rulers don't really make sense, or the Sun Children rulers don't really make sense, something that we are probably going to do at Odyssey is we are going to let people proxy any of the 5 set rulers that they want with no Sun Children to support them, and they cannot contract They can just cast the chant side. They can't actually contract. The idea being that a lot of the set requires you to have some kind of keyword gimmick to like be able to really utilize the cards. And so playing with the actual set rulers as opposed to the Sun Children makes the most sense. So that's what we're doing. Just wanted to pass that along in case you didn't know what to do. But that is it for us for tonight. Thank you all so much for being so active in the chat. It's just really good to... Any old rulers usable or just the last 2 blocks played, really? I mean, probably the last like 2 years of stuff, or 2.5, 3 years of stuff in terms of rulers is like the most viably competitive. But I mean, casually you can play kind of whatever you want, and this new set is looking like it's going to be able to bring some older rulers some pretty cool support stuff to be able to goof around with. So yeah, there's your answer. So thank you all so much for watching. This has been myself, as always, DMO73, and I've been joined by Reichelmance and Raul Peisman.
Here is a blackberry instead of a raspberry.
Mike Rance and Paul Reisman, as always. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, class dismissed.